You're going to be in the video. Okay? Do now. Oh, you don't want to stay, do you? You're just being awkward. You've been a very awkward kitty. Hello, and welcome to another online service. And this week, we are having the parable of the Stripey Kitten. Well, hello, and welcome to another online service. And if you haven't been with us for the last couple of weeks, we are doing a series called Lessons from the Life of the Price Family, which is basically just us sharing things that God has been teaching us through our daily lives. So we've looked at broody hens and lawnmowers, and this week it's the parable of the Stripey Kitten. And Stripey the cat, you might have seen gate crashing last week's video. So we decided we would introduce her properly this week, which hasn't really gone to plan. But you will see her in the clips. Typically, the week she's meant to be in the video, she's doing everything she can to avoid it. The story of Stripey Kitten begins a few years back in 2019 when Stripey, along with her brothers and sisters, wandered into our garden. And Stripey was originally a feral kitten, so she had no idea about living inside or even any contact with people. And after checking with the neighbours that she didn't belong to anybody, we decided that along with her brother and sister, we would start feeding them and begin work on trying to tame them. And Mum will tell you, I will adopt anything, plant or animal. And so I was very willing to take on these kittens. So Stripey got her name because she was a stripy kitten. And when we first started feeding them, we didn't know whether they were girls or boys. All we knew was that there was a stripy one, a tabby one, and a spotty one. And so they became Stripey, Spotty and Tabby because that's how we could identify who'd been to eat and who was getting most and all that sort of thing. So we were just calling them Spotty, Stripey and Tabby. And then when we did start to get to know them a bit closer, they'd already kind of got used to those names. So we just stuck with them. So that is how Stripey gets her name. To begin with, Stripey, Spotty and Tabby were all very timid little kittens, and they would hide under the bushes and only come out when they knew that we definitely were well out of the way and had gone back in the house. So we used to watch them through the window. But gradually I began to try and get closer to them. And the major way that I would do this was with food. So normally when we put their food down, they would come out for a little bit and eat as soon as we'd gone away. Then we started watching them from the doorway and gradually moving closer and closer. And as they got more used to us, they would come out and sit near us while they were eating. Then we started to try and get them a bit closer to the house because we weren't that keen on them being near the road, and they used to eat at the front of the house. So we tried to move them towards the back door. And from there, they gradually began to venture inside over the doorstep. And they also started to learn that we could do other fun things, not just provide food, but we had toys that were fun to play with. And so here they are playing with Fishy, who is Stripey's favourite toy. And through that, we started to get to know them. And through getting down on their level and kind of acting a bit cat-like, we began to win their trust. And eventually, they were coming more and more into the kitchen. And I would just sit there and let them kind of climb over me and play. And I did quite a bit of reading about how to tame feral kittens and to get them to trust you. Yes, Stripey, I did. Yeah, are you going to come and say hello now? No. So I started doing a lot of research about cats and how you could win their trust. And as well as getting down on their level, which was something that I was already doing, I found that if you blink slowly at a cat, it's kind of telling them that you love them and that you're someone who's approachable and someone that they can trust. And so I started to do that. We also found out that to say hello to a cat, you can headbutt them. And that's the way that they kind of would communicate to other cats to say hello. And just slowly and gradually starting to reach out and touch them. First while they were eating, giving them a little stroke. And then gradually building that up as they kind of started climbing around me and walking around me. And food as well is also the way to win a cat's affection. So we gradually started to win their trust. And unfortunately, over the years, we've lost Spotty and Tabby on the roads. But Stripey has made herself quite at home. And although she still enjoys her feral side and likes to be a bit wild, go out and hunting and spend a lot of time outdoors, she's very happy when it's raining or cold to retreat into the house and to enjoy the best that home comforts have to offer her. So that's the parable of Stripey Kitten. But what does it mean? Well, all along, God's been showing me that there are parallels between the way that I relate to Stripey and the other kittens and the way that he relates to us. And one verse particular has kept coming to mind, and that's one from 1 John, and it's 1 John 4 verse 19. It says, "We love because he first loved us," talking about God. And in the same way that I tried to get down on the kittens level to reach out to them and to win their trust and affection, God reaches out to us, but he doesn't reach down from a distance. He chose to come down in the person of Jesus, who was fully God and fully man. He came to earth and was born in those humble circumstances that we remember at Christmas and became like us. He felt the pain that we feel. He knew rejection. He knew loneliness and grief. He knew all the good and the bad of being human. And he chose to do that, to come down to our level and become like us in the hope that he would win our affection and our trust. And so the same way that I was crawling around on the floor with those kittens, God came down and became like one of us so that we could know him. And the way that we know him is through Jesus. The only way that we can really get to know God is to make an effort to know him for ourselves. All that Stripey and the other kittens knew when they were very tiny was probably what they'd been told by their mother, which was to stay away from people because they were scary and terrifying. And so, to begin with, they only hid under the bushes and kind of watched us from a distance. God longs for us to know him the same way that I longed for the kittens to get to know me and to know that they could trust me. God longs for us to get to know him and learn that we can trust him too. And there are a lot of opinions around about God today. There are people that will tell you that he's a tyrant. There's people that will tell you that he doesn't really care about what's going on in our lives and that he's distant. There are people who would tell you he doesn't even exist. But the way that we can find out for ourselves what he's really like is by making an effort to get to know him. Each of us wouldn't want people to base their opinion on us based on hearsay and what other people had to say. We want them to know us for themselves and to make a decision based on how they really found us. And it's the same with God. So the way we get to know what God is like is through Jesus. Jesus was God in human form. And he spent time living on this earth. He felt the things that we feel, the pain, rejection, loneliness, all the hurt, all the good and the bad of life. He experienced it firsthand. So he's not distant from all the problems that we face and the things that are going on in the world. He's been here and he's experienced them for himself. But also he came to show us what God is like and to show us his great love for us and ultimately to take our place, dying on that cross, making the way open for us to get to know God intimately and to have a personal relationship with him. And over time, we get to know God more as we spend time reading the Bible, which is one way that he speaks to us. As we spend time praying, we get to know God. And as he reaches out to us and we respond, we get to know him and to know that we can trust him. So, like those little kittens, over time, gradually got to know that I was someone who was good and trustworthy and who was not scary, someone who was approachable and someone who loved them and cared for them. We gradually, as we get to know God better, from that starting point of not really knowing who he is, not really knowing if we can trust him, we gradually get to know that he is our good Father who wants the best for us, who loves us and cares for us and protects and defends us in every possible way. And when I think back over the story of Stripey Kitten, it just reminds me of the way that God reaches out to us and the way that we respond to him. And that as we go through our lives, we experience more of God's love for us. We experience more of his care and provision and protection. And it just makes us want to love him more and more. And you can see in these more recent pictures of Stripey, which Tim has taken just before we were putting together this video, Stripey has really come to know and trust me pretty well now. When she's not too busy out and about having fun and chasing things and doing all the sorts of things that cats do, there are times when she really loves to just come and crawl up on my knee and sit in my arms and to just relax there and enjoy just being in my presence, I guess. And for me, that is something that is special, knowing the journey that Stripey's been on. And it reminds me in my own life of how easy it is for us to be busy and distracted with life. But there's times where we do take the time to come aside to climb into God's arms, I guess, and to sit in his presence. And those are precious times. And they're not just precious times for us, but for God, because that's what he longs for each one of us. If we think of the story of Mary and Martha in the Bible, which Dad referred to in church a few weeks back, he said that Mary, who chose to sit at his feet and listen to him, had chosen the better option, whereas Martha, although what she was doing was really good, preparing a meal for Jesus and providing great hospitality, she was busy. But Mary had the time to sit at Jesus' feet and to be with him. And for him, that was the better option. When we choose to spend time with God, whether we're at church, whether we're at home listening to worship music, whether we're spending time praying, or whether we just sit in his presence, which is something that can be very refreshing. There's times when I've just been really worn out and tired, and you can just sit and ask God to meet you where you are. You don't have to be talking, you don't have to be saying stuff. Just like any really good friend, it's good just to be together sometimes. And we can do that with God. We don't have to come to him with big words. We just come wanting to be with him and spend time with him. And that is something really precious. And something I think that really touches God's heart. So that's another lesson from the life of the Price family. Hopefully it's been a blessing and you've learned something from it. Before we go, let's just spend some time in prayer together. Lord, we thank you that you loved the world so much that you gave your one and only Son, so that whoever believes in you will not perish but have everlasting life. I thank you, Lord, that you reached down to us, that you didn't reach down from a distance, but you yourself became like one of us and showed us the great love that you have for us. willing to even sacrifice yourself in our place so that we could know you. Lord, if any of us today don't already know you and don't know that love that you have for us, but want to start on that journey of getting to know you, then I pray that you would help them to do that today. We ask, Lord, that you would come into our hearts, forgive us and cleanse us from all that stuff that separates us from you. Thank you for that great sacrifice of the death of Jesus on the cross, dying in our place so that we can have his purity and holiness and righteousness in our lives in place of all the sin that separates us from you. We thank you that you don't leave us to live this life on our own, but you sent your Holy Spirit to come and fill us and empower us to live for you. And I ask that you would come in now, cleanse us of every trace of everything that's not of you, set us free from the past, and fill us with your Spirit to empower us to live for you and to be a witness for you in this world. Lord, for all of us, whether we're just starting that journey today or we've been on it for a long time, we pray that you would bring us closer and closer to you every day, that we would know more and more of your goodness and your love for us, and that we would be people who would enjoy spending time in your presence, who would know how good that is and find our refreshing in you. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, that's it for this week, folks. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.